Hello everybody. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to dimension and actually how to use the dimension tool. So we're talking about three different things here. A couple things here. I'm going to be talking about how to dimension this circle, do some normal height, some height and width dimensions, go over kind of how to do a diagonal line, and then eventually I'm going to kind of do a curve as well. So first thing I'm going to be going here is just going back into edit mode. So the way I can get the edit mode, the bottom left of my screen, kind of with my sketches here. If I hover over my sketch with the pencil, it'll tell me that I'm working on this sketch here, my rectangle. If I double click that, it puts me into sketch mode. So I can know I'm in sketch mode when I see my constraints in red, and I have my finish sketch button. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my dimension tool. It's going to be right up here with our create tab. Again, you can always hit the drop down on the create and then hit sketch dimension, or you can hit D on your keyboard and it auto selects it for you. So right off the bat, let's say I just wanted to do this kind of height dimension on my side here. I can do one of two things. I can click the line, drag my dimension off, then click again to place it. So maybe I want this to be 5. Put the value in, then I can hit enter. Or let's say I wanted to do the width of my line here. I could do corner to corner or point to point. So I can grab my left point. So if you zoom in far enough, you can kind of see that my corner is going to go white when I hover over it. So I'm going to click my left corner, zoom out, and go to the right. I'm going to click my right corner. And once I click those, my dimension line is going to show up. I'm going to click again to place it, then put in my value. Let's say this is 9. And there you go. There's my value. So I put this 5 in just by clicking the line. And I put the 9 dimension here by doing corner to corner. Next, what I'm doing here is talking about the circle. So for the circle, you have to have 3 dimensions. The first one you have to have is the size. So to get the size of my circle here, I'm going to click my ring of the circle, place it again. So let's have it a nice even 2.5. Click enter on my keyboard. Now I need my location dimensions. So the first one I'm going to be doing is my height location. My height location is all talking about vertical. Just like this 5.0, it's the height of my square. I need the height location of my circle. So I'm going to click the center of my circle. If I zoom in, it doesn't really snap to it or anything, but as long as the circle dot is kind of white and the ring is kind of showing, it's good. You go ahead and click. So I click the ring of my circle. It's a little blue now. Now for my height location dimension, I'm going to click the bottom of my square. I'm not going to click the actual height vertical line. If I do that, it's going to then make the dimension left and right and width. We don't want that. I want to do my height. So I click the center of my circle. The second place I'm going to click is the bottom line. And once I do that, it makes a height dimension here. So I can drag it off to the side, and I'll put 2.5. Hit enter. Now the same thing I'm going to do width. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, click the center of my circle. Then I'm going to grab this vertical line, the right hand side of my shape, click that, and now I have 2 points that I made contact with. This is going to be the center. So I'm going to have this as 4.5, hit enter. So I have my 2 location dimensions, height and width, and the size of my circle. That's all I need. Next, coming to kind of this slanted pieces, kind of like a chamfer piece, for my dimension. If let's say I wanted the size of this slant to be 0.5. I've seen a lot of people just kind of click the diagonal, and here we go. In this case, let's scale it up. Let's have it equal to 2. I don't want my 2 to be on the diagonal line, so I want to go ahead and delete this. So I left click, then I right click again and delete, or you can highlight it with the blue and then click delete on your keyboard. When I'm talking about the size of this actual diagonal line, I don't want this. I want it to be height, my left and right, so my height here or right here. These are 2 dimensions of the actual size of the chamfer. I don't want my diagonal. I want it left and right or up and down. The way I'm getting this is just moving my mouse around. It will kind of auto generate the quarters. So let's say I want this to be 1.5 inches. When I hit enter, kind of take a second. Cool, this is great. Another way you can do it, instead of actually clicking the line and kind of waiting for your mouse to regenerate, you can click the corners. So if I zoom in again, just like my circle, I can click the corner of my piece, the bottom corner of the diagonal, click the top corner of the diagonal. Then it's going to do the same thing, but I'm linked to the corners now. So this, I'm going to keep it as 1.5. Also, for your degrees in here for your slant. First line, you want to click to maybe get a 45, 30, 60 degree, whatever. You want to always click your diagonal. Then you can do one of two things. If you click this vertical line, the degree is going to show up here where my mouse is kind of hovering over. If I click the horizontal and then the vertical line here on the left-hand side, I'm going to get it around this corner of my piece. So on our summative assignment and then on our practice, we had it around this bottom corner. So I'm going to click my diagonal, which I already did. Click my vertical. Now I have a degree here. We wanted 45 in this kind of quadrant here. We didn't want the inside. We wanted the exterior. So I go ahead and click to place it and then put my value in, click enter, and there we go. So now all of these lines are black. Cool. Now the next thing, what about curves? So I'm just going to make a random fillet in here. That's fine. For dimensions, I've seen a lot of people click the actual center of the arc. So maybe they click the center of the arc and then click the top of our piece here. And then there we go. That's the dimension. But we don't want that. So what I want to actually have us do, if there's a dimension here talking about the height from the top to the bottom, we already set it as 5. That's fine. But we do not, that 5 is not the same as the top of our shape here to the center of the arc. These are two different dimensions. So you can see I have 4 from the center of the arc to the top of my piece. If I grab the top of my piece into the bottom of my piece, then this is going to be 5. So I have two different dimensions. It's not going to let me put it in right now because it's a little over dimensioned. So let me do this. So I put 5. So I have a 4 from the center of the arc to the top and 5 from bottom of my piece to top of my piece. They're two different dimensions. What we want in our summative is not the 4. We want to delete that. We want to have it from top to bottom. So we'd never want to use the center of our arc unless we're talking about specifically the distance of the center of the arc to the bottom, center of the arc to the top, or for maybe the circle to the arc. It's only specific, but for the general purposes, we always want to have top to bottom. We never want to have a dimension on the center of an arc. So yeah, in this video, we just went over some basics of how to use our dimension tool.